Welcome. Hi, I'm Judy. Today's topic is how to shift from your negative body image to a positive body image. And I've got three amazing body confidence coaches with me who are going to give their stories and also some really awesome tips.
Thank you. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, everyone. Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Theo Bierman, and I'm coming to you from all the way in South Africa, Johannesburg. It's 9 p.m. for me. And I'm honored and grateful to be part of this panel discussion today. I'm bringing a very personal message to this panel discussion based on a transformation that I have gone through in my life, which has resulted in massive improvement due to massive change in behavior, both physically, mentally, and of course, emotionally. So thank you for your time, and thank you, Judy, for including me. So before I talk to the point of body image confidence, in my view, I just want to take a few moments to explain what I do. So as Judy mentioned, I am an Ironman coach. I got involved in triathlon many years ago as part of my transformational journey. I didn't start off as a coach. I started off as an amateur triathlete, as a normal working professional, and got sucked into the world of multidisciplined endurance sports. And then later on in my journey, as my journey evolved, I transitioned into coaching because of an incessant need to help others in their transformation. So, I still take part in endurance sports myself. I enter as many races as I can, now COVID permitting, of course. And I believe I'm a better coach because I practice what I preach and what I put out there. I hold various certifications ranging from being a certified Ironman coach, together with being a level 1, soon to be level 2 accredited coach on Training Peaks. And I also hold a small certification in nutrition. In parallel to being a sports coach, I am also a KBB coach for Dean Graziosi and Tony Robbins. So for those that don't know what KBB is, it stands for Knowledge Broker Blueprint, right? And basically, it's a program that was designed by Dean and Tony together, which has literally turned into a global movement riding on the back of self-education. So I help facilitate virtual workshops with the mastermind team, and I help people uncover the most unique part of themselves and turn it into a online offering. Now, that is a very, very short version of what KBB is. It's much more than that, but certainly not the point of why I'm here today. I am very proud to be on their team, and I'm very proud to be an Ironman coach because both are huge parts of my journey. But there is another part of my story which is far more important. It's the reason why I get out of bed every morning, and the reason why I am able to get out of bed every morning. So before I'm anything, I am a recovered drug addict. I have been clean for 7 years now. In fact, this Sunday coming will be 7 years exactly. So it's a big day for me. And because I found recovery 7 years ago, I'm able to be a proud husband, a proud father, a proud coach, and to be part of this panel discussion today and share my view on today's topic with humility and a lot of vulnerability. So I'm known as Coach TRC, and TRC simply stands for Fear Recovered, and that is something that I'm very, very, very proud of. So I'm here today to talk about my view on body image confidence from my perspective as a man to other men. I have coined a phrase called the Today Man, okay? And I've designed a course for the Today Man. Now, you can't see me, so I'm going in inverted commas there with my fingers, but it's called Under Your Influence. And I would like to use the principles and the fundamentals of Under Your Influence to address the position of body image confidence, right? So ultimately, men, especially around my age, middle-aged, I'm 42 years old, we suppress very similar attributes, which are represented in different ways according to our lifestyles. but mostly it's the behavior used to deal with a very weak positive image that we have of ourselves. And because of this, we end up not really having any clarity on where we are, where we want to go, and we certainly have no idea how to get there. So when a today man gets to his 40s, he is absolutely frantic to get his body back into shape. And he feels like he's lost so much time and starts scrambling for ways to regain control, both externally and internally. And therein lies the problem. It's this constant struggle between external versus internal representation of ourselves, and there's no alignment between the two. So, if the today man had a better handle on his own view of himself, in other words, his self-love, then he would spend less time worrying about how he looks and more time worrying about how he feels. So ultimately, Under Your Influence is a program that addresses emotional well-being in 4 stages, or 4 pillars, as I like to call them. So when I think about body image confidence, for me, I believe it is very important to acknowledge the importance of self-love first. That's my theme. That's my major theme of what I do and what I talk about outside of all of my other coaching. And once we overcome that lack of awareness, we can start to anchor in our self-value, which is something that we often lose sight of because of our external attachment to our body image confidence. So that's the second stage, or pillar rather, of getting on top of your emotional well-being. So when the today man has addressed his self-love and his self-value, he can start to work on his self-sabotage, right? Which is the third stage. This is where we start to ask ourselves real questions. Is my problem body image confidence, or is it something else? And if it is something else, well, then it's time to get real. And once we have addressed self-sabotage, this very real issue of self-sabotage, then we can finally start to cultivate self-confidence. But none of those can be the end goal. And I can't stress this enough. None of those can be the end goal because they aren't separate. They are connected. Emotional well-being must be the end goal. Alignment must be the end goal. So what is self-love? What is masculine self-love? And is there a difference? So for me, self-love is the view to ourselves. As a man, it's the view to myself first and foremost, in my view. If this is tarnished in any way, big or small, we absolutely jeopardize our ability to get the best we can out of our lives. I think love is beyond everything and anything, right? But when vulnerability comes into play, we run for the hills. So as men, or as a today man, we need to learn to love with vulnerability. And loving with vulnerability allows us to be more authentic with ourselves. So now this is like an inward view, right, towards ourselves. There is also an outward view of loving with vulnerability that increases your self-love. And that is being authentic about loving others with vulnerability in front of you so that others can see you do this. And when you visibly do this, you will see how your self-love elevates you, right? And you start to believe in yourself again. So as men, we lose sight of this because, we can't step into the place we need to be in order to activate this awareness and just turn it on. So the actual point I'm trying to make here is that we tend to give more attention to resolving our body image confidence, whereas we could make more progress in uncovering deeper rooted feelings by looking at our self-love. So when it comes to self-value, this is where we start to anchor in the importance of identifying our true core competence. And in most cases, we lose sight of what we think it is all the time. So maybe, we knew at one stage in our lives, but we forget. And life is hectic. Life is crazy. We're going to forget. There is much more power in simplicity. There's so much power in simplicity. Simply listing 2 to 3 things in your life or in your job, on your job that you would never outsource or ask anyone else to do can give you a better view to your core competence. Looking backwards at previous successes you had and listing those skills that you needed to acquire to achieve that success, that can also give you a view to your to your self value. For me, getting to know your real why, getting to know my why, helped to uncover my core competence. And the reason why I get out of bed, as I said earlier, is because of recovery. So I am competent in recovery, and from competence comes growth, because you'll naturally want to extend past yourself. But there is one more part of self-value that is key. And in men, this is a big one. It's learning to forgive yourself. Now, for me, I'm an addict. So this was crucial, right? Every man's instance is different, of course. But when you learn, or rather when we learn how to forgive ourselves, we have a much better view to our self-value. So when it comes to self-sabotage, right, after spending time looking at our self-love and our self-value, we are better equipped to identify that nasty little dragon that we need to slay, because it is that dragon that holds us back. And the thing with self-sabotage is that we invite it in knowingly. All day long, we refuse to take accountability for our actions. And in doing so, we self-sabotage. So working out what your one big thing is and giving attention to it and modeling your behavior on a daily basis to address that one big thing will bring immediate results. So if your one big thing is your body image confidence, then model your behavior to address it. That's if your one big thing is body image confidence. If it's not, and you say it is, but it's actually not, then maybe it's time to let go of something else, right? Something else that might be masking itself as a need to address body image confidence. And then lastly, sorry, just drinking some water. And then lastly, and very simply, cultivating self-confidence, right, becomes much easier. If you can be intentional in what you want, you will build confidence in standing up and telling the world what it is you want, what you actually want. If it's still to strive towards better body image confidence, then so be it. Just make sure that you are conscious in your visualizations. Visualizations are so powerful, right? After you've learned to be intentional in what you want. And from that point, you can create a plan and execute that plan because the plan is aligned. Now, if you recall earlier, I said that alignment must be the end goal and not achievement. Your emotional well-being needs to be aligned to this belief. If you find alignment with yourself and you bring balance to your self-love and your self-value and your self-sabotage and your self-confidence, you will naturally achieve. Now, there are other ways to bring balance to these four elements of emotional well-being, and they are meditation, nutrition, and exercise. Now, please note that I put exercise last. I wholeheartedly, even as an Ironman coach, place meditation and nutrition before exercise. So if you want to get on top of your body image confidence, look to meditation and nutrition first before exercise. You will be surprised at what comes to the surface when you constantly meditate and spend time in silence. Your brain is part of your body, and therefore so are your thoughts by extension. So when you slow down and keep your body still for long periods of time, your brain will reflect your body and it too will slow down. And when your brain finally slows down, you can listen to your body and the signals that it gives. And one of those signals is self-love. And more importantly, the need to cultivate more of it. This is gold. And I spend a lot of time on those first two topics. Well, in fact, I spend a lot of time all three, obviously. But so I wrote a book, or an ebook rather, called 10 Critical Steps Before Any Personal Development. And it's a reflection of the things that I do on a daily basis that are a direct result of going through my transformation and applying everything that I talk about. So in my opinion, these are the 10 steps that a person should be willing to go into before embarking upon any personal development course. They are important, I wholeheartedly believe, important components that get addressed and can bring so much value if you take them on board. So everyone is welcome to a copy. It's a free ebook and it can be accessed at the link you see on the screen below. Please feel free to take a photo if you want with your phone, or we'll make it available in the chat afterwards. But really, there's one step in this book, which is the last step, and I'm probably ruining the experience by jumping into the end if you do want to read it. But the step is called ego versus vulnerability, right? In other words, letting go of your ego to make room for your vulnerability. Vulnerability can serve you better than harm you. And that's important to note as a man, right? And it can lead to creativity and change. That's what it did for me. So men who lead with their egos first block their view to their best projected future. That's what happened to me. Men who lead with vulnerability can make a lasting impact on themselves and the world around them. That's what happened to me. So stepping into your most vulnerable self will give you a platform to live authentically. And most importantly, transparently too, because you drop the veil. The veil is gone. No more hiding behind hidden agendas of fear, of self-loathing, self-hatred, self-judgment, which all end up being projections placed on others anyway. I did that. So vulnerability leads to truthfulness coupled with humility, and the power, in my view, derived from living a life governed by vulnerability and not ego leads to a transformation that you did not think was actually humanly possible. Just a quick note on the today man, because I kind of started off on that and then I just dropped it. So, I see the today man as a man who wants to master new skills by reducing complexity and time, but still have quantifiable results. He wants to accelerate his progress to master skills he failed at in the past. He's tired of the hustle of every single day and tries to keep up with the demands that he places on himself. And while he wants all of this, he also wants to get a better grasp on his body image confidence. So when we hit middle age, we feel rushed. We feel like we don't have time. So another way to deal with this feeling that time is running out is by practicing progressive mastery. We progress to perfect, and even if we don't perfect, we still grow. So, you've all heard the phrase progress over perfection, and it just means creating a starting point. That is why we practice progressive mastery. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a process, it's a journey. And as we journey through life, we collect and we learn and we succeed and we fail. But in all of those iterations, there is one thing that holds true, and that is growth. If we take a progressive approach to anything we want to master, then we leave no room for error as we try to systemize our efforts. And we can systemize our efforts in anything by leveraging applicable frameworks that actually have bearing and meaning. So that's me really. Sorry, Judy, I took a bit longer than 15 minutes. I just want to finish on one more slide. So for those that want to learn more and know more about it, there are two ways to get into the course or the program. I have an online version and a one-on-one coaching option. The online option is an on-demand portal hosted on Kajabi with a plethora of video lessons and accompanying tutorials and worksheets on the extractability framework. That's the four-pillared approach that I spoke about. It's supported by a massive resources section providing an accountability planner that I designed, access to a private Facebook group with like-minded men going through the extraction process. And there's a huge bonus section, which is broken down into meditation, nutrition, and exercise. That's why I spent some time on that slide, because that's part of the supporting material of the framework. It comes with an ebook, which you've already seen, and you'll have access to it if you want. So the total value of the online course is $1,700, but it's offered at a discounted price for now for $597. For a limited time only, the normal sell price is $797. If you want to check it out, you can go to my webpage, coachtrc.com/under your influence, but we'll make this available to anyone that wants to see it. And then, sorry, just going back one more. my one-on-one coaching option. It's an 8-week program, a very intense, laser-focused 8-week coaching program with a dedicated one-on-one session bi-weekly, or twice every week for 8 weeks. So the first 6 weeks, we go through 30 modules, 4 modules per week. There's a 60-page workbook. It sounds overwhelming and intense, but it's very, very, very to the point and very, very laser focused in what I've just spoken about for the last 15 minutes. It includes lifetime access to the online course, the resources and the bonus section that you'll see in my link in the section before. It includes access to the ebook. It also includes lifetime access to an accompanying course that I designed called 14 Days to Progressive Mastery for the Today Man. So this is a course, a specialized course that I designed for my one-on-one coaching clients. So in the last 2 weeks of the 8 weeks, after we've all extracted together, we use the 14-day program to apply using a 10-step process that I learned through high performance coaching with Brendan Burchard. And we take everything you've learned in the extractability framework and we apply it in a 14-day, high intense laser focus session to get you to where you want to go, right? The total value of this package is $4,000, but it's offered at a discounted price of $1,500. And it's very, very, very a small group because I obviously can't get to a lot of people together and give them my full focus. So if you are interested, please let me know at either of those 2 links. And yeah, that is it. That's me.
Wow. Theo, you give me so much hope for the planet with, I think what I've learned in Qigong is that all of us, male or female, need to balance our male and feminine energy. So thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. I especially liked your alignment versus achievement ideas and vulnerability and authenticity. Thank you very kindly, Theo.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Well done. I have a couple of questions here from our audience. One gal wrote in saying, I'm addicted to carbs, especially bread. And when I'm stressed out, that's what I want. And I can't stop.
I am 100% addicted to carbs. I can't get away from bread. You know, if I see a loaf of bread, a piece of bread, whatever, that is my strategy. It goes down and that's it. No one can stand in my way. I understand that inability to say no, because I have other issues that I mentioned earlier that I've got to be aware of. But so for me, it's the same kind of bubble that I have to exist in. So I'm aware of my problem, but I'd rather eat bread every day than take drugs every day. So that's very different. But the point I'm trying to make is there's definitely an emotional attachment to carbs and to bread specifically. Bread is easy. It's always accessible. You don't have to worry about, and I'm speaking from my point of view, you don't have to worry about cooking. You just, if you're hungry, get it, eat it, done, right? 5 minutes later, same action. You've got to break that habit. You've got to break that rhythm. There's this stigma behind bad carbs, good carbs, something in between. For me, the reason why I kind of let it go and I'm okay with eating carbs, and I literally eat bread non-stop. I'm very active and I burn it away a lot. So if you aren't able to immediately address the emotion that's attached to eating that carb, if you aren't active, try get active. And I'm not saying go and do an Ironman. I'm not saying go and run a marathon unless you want to. Go for a walk. Go for a walk. A simple walk will change your life.
One other question. I particularly hate my belly fat. I can't seem to say nice things to it. All I see are the models with their flat stomachs.
So the first point is just to the person that asked that question, just remember the following statement. Where attention goes, energy flows. Or I think as Tony Robbins says it, where focus goes, energy flows. Whatever you give attention to consistently, your energy is going to go there. So you've got to break that. And Erica basically said this anyway. You've got to break that connection, that attachment, and change your feed. Absolutely. It's great advice. What I'd like to offer further on that point is, have you truly asked yourself, whose image is this? Is it your image that you need to have this certain body, or is it someone else's image, someone else's desire of you to look a certain way? Because if you don't know the answer to that question, then find the answer. And if depending what the answer is, it's going to point you in the right direction. But if you haven't asked that question, if you don't truly know if it's you or someone else, find out, and that may give you the push in the right direction you may need to go to find that answer.